Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
You are listening to
Trial by Stone.
Trial by Stone!
Trial by Stone!
This is what I came for.
Your vital essence, the dark crystal.
I can feel something. Hear it almost.
Don't move.
Don't move? Where would I go?
Quiet!
Hello and welcome to Trial by Stone, the Dark Crystal podcast. I'm your host, Philip Mitchell, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. So I know the reason you're all listening to this episode is, of course, Jaime and Ethan have seen the first episode of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And of course, we wanted to talk about it for the podcast. So unfortunately, scheduling-wise, I couldn't be a part of it. However, Jaime had recorded it with himself and Ethan to talk about the first episode of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And it's pretty cool. I mean, you'll listen to it very shortly. I have listened to it myself, and it's pretty good with their thoughts. So definitely listen to that very soon. And of course, I guess, a lot of listeners, that this is a non-spoiler review for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. Definitely stay tuned for the next episode of Trial by Stone, as we'll definitely be breaking down the panel and everything that happened at San Diego Comic-Con in the weeks to come. And if you want to listen to some of our episodes of Trial by Stone, the best place to do it is, of course, at our website at www.darkcrystalpodcast.com. And on our website is all the episodes that you can listen to. We've got them sorted by categories. We've got news, discussions, and there's over 100 episodes that have been produced. And we just got so much to look forward to. Letting you all know, we will definitely be doing a breakdown of each episode of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance when it comes out. There's going to be a lot to look forward to and beyond. So without further ado, here's Jaime and Ethan.
Thank you, Phil. Unfortunately, he could not be with us. Thank you for kind of setting up the episode/review today. Today it is just myself, Jaime, and co-host Ethan Erska. Ethan, thanks for being on.
Yeah, hey stoners, glad to be here.
And what a time to be here. Like, Ethan and I have been able to see the first episode of the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. And I still can't even process that we've seen this first episode. I don't know about you.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, it's mind-blowing. It takes a second to process, doesn't it? Like you're pinching yourself.
Yeah. After we had seen the episode, me and Ethan, I was standing around Ethan kind of looking at him like, I don't know, what do you think? Just kind of like, I'm a slow processor. Sometimes, on rare occasions, I can leave a theater or can leave something and go, whoa, that was amazing. Other times, it's like, no, this takes me a while. And after we finished the episode, I was floored. I was blown away. But there's so much to process. The world is so new, yet so entirely familiar that I just couldn't really wrap my head around it. I almost felt like I didn't even see the episode. Like, I'm still trying to process everything we'd seen. And basically, the setup is, this is the first episode, essentially. So the Age of Resistance, or Age of Resistance, is a prequel series to the original film. So we're being introduced to the world that we know in a whole new way. We have a whole new set of characters. And those characters that were introduced to us are Deet, who is Groton, Rian, who is Stonewood, I believe.
Right.
And Brea, who is Vapra. And that's the setup. And they are kind of introduced to us as they kind of all as their journey kind of unfolds. And it's kind of hard to talk about it, don't you think?
It is. I mean, after we saw it, the first thing I did was just my mind literally exploded. I was just like,
yeah.
I mean, it was kind of crazy how quickly I was sucked in. Like, you know, at first, you know, you're like, this is brand new, but very quickly I was like, okay, all right, yeah, I'll take you to where you want to take me. I mean, I'll follow you where you want to take me. It was, you like you said, Jamie, it was so familiar yet so new. I don't know how they did it. I mean, you know, we don't want to go spoilery, but it is so good, you guys.
It is beyond good. It is. So we can talk about some things that we know that aren't spoilers, like there's the Castle of the Crystal, the Castle of the Crystal, and we're seeing the Castle of the Crystal unlike we've ever seen before. We're seeing Gelflings go down deep inside it, in caverns and caves. We're seeing Gelflings around it. We're seeing balconies. We're seeing the countryside of Thrar. We're seeing Landstriders. You know, Landstriders, of course, were introduced in the first film. We're seeing Gelfling guards. We're seeing new Skeksis. We're seeing podlings. We're seeing all of these things that are very familiar in a kind of an architecture placed in this world before the sort of the Gelfling purge, before all the Gelflings were killed and all the clans were destroyed. And so we're just taking in, and we're kind of introduced to a couple of characters, but each, you know, the first episode cuts to, okay, it's Deet, and then it's Brea, and then it's Rian, and they cut back and forth, and it's pretty seamless as the story unfolds, and it's really moving pretty quickly, unusually fast, actually, just because we're used to the original film, and it moves pretty slowly, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a dense episode. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot of new viewers out there who you can't assume that they've seen the first episode, so they've got to, you know, set up the stakes, set up the story, set up the world, and they do it so perfectly. I think I feel like it isn't like you're not rolling your eyes like, I know this story. Why are you preaching to me, man? I know. It's like it's brand new. It's fresh. It doesn't feel. That's what I really like about it. Is it doesn't feel like a rehash. It doesn't feel like it's trying to copy paste the movie, so to speak. It's familiar, but oh my god, it's so fresh. I don't know what else to say without, you know, telling you what happened. But I mean, just so good, you guys. I don't even know what to say. Like,
well, and we don't even. I mean, again, I'm going to reiterate what I said to you after we had seen it. I don't know what to say. Like, I am still processing the first episode. I am still processing how. Well, I was just going to curse, but I remembered that we're sort of a PG-13 podcast. How in the bleep they pulled this off, because I just can't even, the things that we've seen, the set pieces that we've seen, and we've just begun to see what they have to introduce to us. We haven't seen the forest. We haven't seen, we've seen one clan officially, which is the Vapor clan. That's it. And the Vapor village, which is just amazing. And you see glimpses of that in the trailer, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. And we see the darkening and what that means. Again, these are things that you find in the trailer. We won't go into them. And you see Deet, she's a Groton, and the Groton lives underground, and you see her family, and you see her little brother, and you see the world that she lives in. And well, we can. I think we should talk about, like, characters. Like, what character stood out to you? Like, what character made an impression on you the most from episode 1?
The character. So, you know, full disclosure. You know, story time. You know, me, Ethan Erskine, I saw that Skeklak the Collector, and I was like, no, I don't know about him. You know, that's a lot of snot. You know, someone wipe his damn nose. You know, so I was, you know, I was pretty convinced that it was going to take some convincing to get me to like the Collector, Skeklak. But seriously, within moments, I was sold. Aquafina does this incredible voice. It's the Collector, to me, in my opinion, quickly became one of my favorite characters. Like, probably the most memorable, most quotable, just so much fun. I just wanted to see more of Skeklak. Just like, I want to hang out with you. You'll probably kill me, but I want to hang out with you. You are fun. You know, that probably surprising to you, but yeah, Skeklak was probably my favorite character from the episode.
Interesting. Well, I would say that, well, Skeklak is amazing, and you know, that's the issue with introducing a new world, a world that's not new, that's also familiar, but the world that we're familiar with was also very old and worn, and of course the color palette for the original film was very faded and washed out, because that's where the world was at the time. The world that we're introduced to is very colorful, very alive. The Castle of the Crystal is placed in that very beautiful sort of countryside with the river, very much like we left it at the end of the original film. Everything that we've seen seamlessly fits. It doesn't feel like, oh, I don't know, this doesn't really belong there. Nothing felt like that. Everything felt like it belonged. The new Skeksis felt like they've always been there. They don't, you know, but part of what sells that is the costumes, the attention to detail, the attention to detail of the sculpts of the, you know, the creatures. What makes the original film so amazing is that they don't feel like puppets. They feel like living, breathing things. And it was a little, I think there was a little bit, it took a little bit of time for me to get used to the way the mouths moved with the puppets in the new, in this new one. Just because the mouths moved a little bit differently. Rian seems to be performed a little bit differently. Rian's, I don't know, his mouth seems always to be open. I don't know why. It was a very odd performance. But I got over that after about 20 minutes. And then Rian, by the time these events are unfolding, and Rian is in the middle of these events, he is a real breathing thing. I mean, he's not even, at this point, at the end of the episode, he's just another, he's out there somewhere, you know, on Thra. Like, so I think that there's going to be an initial shock for people that this is new. All of this is new. A lot of it is set within something that's familiar, but it's new dialogue, it's new characters, it's new everything. And that took me a little bit to kind of get over. Did you have kind of a that kind of, I want to say, learning curve or hump to get over as well when you're watching it?
I think it was instantaneous for me, but I will say I think reading J.M. Lee's YA novels probably helped in that. I think somebody that has never read any comics or YA novels or anything, just going straight into this, will probably need a few more moments to catch up. The episode definitely does explain itself really well, though. But yeah, to me, it was I was immediately sold. I mean, the YA novels definitely helped me, know about the clans, know about, the social structure a little bit. We have an Almadra now, a queen, and the ruler of all the clans. So, there wasn't really a. I don't know. I was totally sucked into this world. You have so many questions while you're watching it, and you just can't wait for the answers. I need the other 9 episodes now,
Yeah. It's like watching the first 20 minutes of the original film and then stopping it. Like,
right.
And that's what it feels like. I feel like I'm out of breath. I feel like the end of the episode, there's these things that happen, and I want to know what's next. And I feel like it's kind of hard to discuss this in a non-spoiler way. Do you?
Absolutely. I really don't know what to say without, because I don't want to. I want other people to be, just like us, going in completely blank. I don't want to say something that might spoil some. And I think a lot of listeners are probably feeling the same way. Like, don't say too much. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we should leave it at that. Like, I definitely don't want to say the wrong thing for listeners. I mean, the only thing I can think to say is, spoilery stuff. I just want to talk about it. I have so many questions. I have so many, so many things I want to say, and you just can't. And oh man, I've got chills. I can't stop thinking about what we saw up there.
Yeah, I can't even. But I will say this: if you are familiar with the Jaime Lee books, I think that there are going to be some things in this show, well, certainly the first episode, that you're going to be like, oh look. Well, I mean, and I've read the first one. I stopped before the end because I realized the story is very close to the show, and I want to be introduced to Age of Resistance the same way I was introduced to the original film, which is there was a film, there wasn't books, and I really want to let this show tell me the story, and I don't want to see an alternate version of that or a different view of that. It's actually a different. The Jaime Lee books are like a different perspective. So in that regard, if you've read those books, there are going to be characters that you're going to notice right away. Characters and just different things. You're going to be like, oh yeah, this over here. Oh, this over there. It's probably a really fascinating and wonderful way to kind of tie those things together. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's. It was fun to see characters from a book, that you've grown to love, like up there on the screen, like holy crap, like, and it's such a cool feeling. It's such an odd feeling too, going, seeing a Dark Crystal character in a book first and then on the screen, like who'd have thunk of that? Like, it was so surreal. Like, I never would have dreamed just a few years ago that we'd have new Dark Crystal on the screen, and there we are.
Do you find that you miss Jen and Kira? Like, is it weird being back in Thra without seeing Jen and Kira? Or
is it weird if I say no? I mean, I'm in love with this new world. Mm-hmm. I feel like I want to run around and explore it. I mean, oh, man, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like, there's so many Gelflings, you guys. There's so many Gelflings. Oh my God, there's
dozens and dozens. And part of during the scene where we're seeing dozens and dozens of Gelflings, like, well, first of all, I didn't look at Ethan one time during this screening. Like, I just was like, my head was up. I was like, holy bleep. But the next,
you know what I look like. You don't want to waste time looking at me.
But part of it was I was like, how did they make all these Gelfling? How did they make Gelfling after Gelfling after Gelfling? And you have to understand that it's not just 20 or 30 Gelfling or more, probably more. There's also people that are puppeting every single one of them. So the amount of work that has gone into this show, and this is my most precious world. If you look into my emotional heart, and what has shaped me creatively in terms of the wonder that I possessed, when you open that emotional heart, you will see the Dark Crystal staring back at you. So this world to me is sacred ground, and I felt like after the episode ended, that sacredness was honored, and it wasn't thrown away, and it wasn't manipulated, and it wasn't rehashed. I mean, there's a couple of lines that they kind of turn on that you hear. I think that there's one line that sounds a little bit familiar, but it's a flip-flop of the line from the original film that I was kind of like, oh, okay, they did what a lot of writers do when they're going back to material as a sequel or prequel. They'll give you the same line in a different way, and I thought that's a little bit I've heard that before. But aside from that, like, these people who made this film, this show, you hear me struggling for words. Like, these people who made this show, who've put their hard work and effort and years of their lives into this show, I am in their debt. I am in their debt for what they have done and the love that they've shown to cradle this world and this story and to reawaken the wonder in my own life, and in my own creative heart. I'm sure I sound ridiculous, but that's just how I feel.
I think you sound all right. No, yours is a lot sweeter than mine. My thoughts after watching the episode was, sons of bitches, they did it. I have thought of Dark Crystal ideas and concepts and story nuggets and cool ideas for years and years and years and years. I've got a stack of notebooks a foot high in my office, and just full of them. And I kid you not, just in this first episode, it was better than anything I ever dreamed of. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration. Believe me, if I thought it was crap, I'd tell you. Like, unbelievable. I was floored how much I liked this, how good the writing is, and how clear it is to me that everybody that worked on this knows the material, and I know the material, and so I can see it when other people know it too. And I had chills. The people that worked on this, the writers, the producers, the director, they know what they're doing. You ask them a question about the world, and I'm sure they would know exactly what you're talking about, and oh my gosh, we're in good hands, you guys. We are in good hands. That's all I have to say about it. They know what the hell they're doing. I have chills, and like I said, if I hated it, I would tell you. I'd say, wasn't my cup of tea. I'll see myself out of the fandom. If it was garbage, I'd tell you. Promise.
Did you have any reservations based off the trailer that you had seen? Anything that you were like, not sure? Or have you been sort of sold the whole time?
Oh, did I? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the teaser trailer surprised me. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been nervous. I've been pretty vocal on Facebook about how much I do not like Power of the Dark Crystal, and I do not like Beneath the Dark Crystal, and I'm sorry, I don't. It's not my cup of tea. I know I've talked to many fans that like those comics. That's fantastic. And so I was going into Age of Resistance thinking, maybe this isn't my thing. Maybe I just see Dark Crystal differently, okay? And so I saw that teaser trailer, and my wife was actually filming me. She was going to film a reaction. I told her to turn it off because I was surprised. I was like, oh, snap. I'm liking this a lot more than I thought I would. Hold on. Look away, because my face was just like twitching weird. I was like, hey, we're not posting this. I was expecting kind of, what was I expecting? I was expecting I don't want to say a rehash, like a soft reboot or something for, I guess, something condescending. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah.
Something like
irreverence.
Dark Crystal,
like they're not taking it seriously. Like almost like, yeah, we're making this show and we think it's kind of funny, kind of dumb, sort of.
Yeah. Maybe something that made fun of itself. Yeah, like you just said. Duh. Yeah, I really thought it was good. It was just a group of people that maybe have seen the movie and they know the difference between Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, and they thought, oh, maybe we could cobble something together. But seeing the teaser trailer a couple months ago, it changed my mind. I was like, oh, snap, okay. Maybe I need to adjust my expectations a bit. And like, okay, this actually looks pretty good quality. And now, having seen that first episode, Just boom, 100%, absolutely. They know what's going on, and I trust them. This world is okay. It is in good hands. They're not screwing this up.
I could not agree more. There's just the respect and the reverence, and the care and the time. These, again, from what we've been told, just based off Phil and I's experience at Henson's, they've been working on this project in various forms for 8 years, and also to your point of Power of the Dark Crystal, and also some of the comics. It hasn't been the greatest material. Some of it in there, like some of the mangas and everything, really, really rich, really great. But with Beneath the Dark Crystal and the Power of the Dark Crystal, just kind of felt like, what are you doing? What story are you trying to tell? Because it feels like a cash grab, or it just doesn't feel like there's heart and soul in there, that you're really interested in telling these rich stories in this world that we know and love. It just felt sort of meh, just kind of whatever. But the people who are behind Age of Resistance, these are the people you want behind every season of the show. These are people who are not going to do what everyone else does when they do a sequel season or whatever, and go, let's put more CG in there, and let's do, these are people who know why the original film was so important. They know what made the original film so incredible, and they know that seeing something that's really built and three-dimensional in a space enables your audience to connect to it, because they know it's real and they know it's there. So we'll have to kind of come back, obviously, and we'll be back on formal shows, Trial by Stone shows, discussing Age of Resistance in detail with spoilers, because really, I think we probably should stop, don't you think? Just because I think we've kind of said enough. These are our first impressions. I'm blown away, like, really, honestly, like, talking about this right now, I'm really emotional. I'm emotional in ways that I can't describe. That something can touch me so gently and so deeply and beautifully. And it's not to say that maybe I'll love everything, because I'm not the love everything kind of guy. I'm a guy who takes his time. I'm a guy who have to kind of warm up to things and just kind of see where I feel at the end of it. I don't respond quickly, but I'm telling you, episode 1 is out of the park, home run. It is everything that I hoped it could be, and I don't really bring in expectations to films or just to shows. I only expect to like the characters and to be emotionally involved. And by the end of episode 1, and we see what's happening, and the scene that I'm talking about, I'm just, my heart is with Deet, and I'm like, this is me. She is me right now. She represents my own journey, and I have to leave it there. I'll probably start crying. I'm serious. I'm not a crier.
And I am Brea, by the way. I am Brea. It was weird. I did look at Jamie. I did look at his beautiful face, and I stroked his beard. No, it was weird. I was like, that's me.
Totally.
That's probably too spoilery. I just revealed everything. But
we've seen Brea. We've seen her photos. She goes into books. She's looking for symbols. I don't know what she's doing, to be honest with you.
She's being me.
Yep.
She's Ethan Erskine, you guys.
I think she's probably saying, "Are you me? Are you me?" And then they looked at each other from the screen, and they're like, "Yes, we're each other."
But yeah, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't say any more without just going into it.
Totally. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Sorry to cut it short, but we want to keep the experience of this show as new and fresh to everyone as possible. But this is the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con. We had to talk about it. So we will talk to you again soon. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye, stoners.
Bye, stoners.
Bye, man.
You've already taken too long, Gelfling. Hurry!
At last the crystal calls. It is time to return to the castle.
The crystal calls!
And that's all the time that we have for this episode of Trial by Stone. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so at darkcrystalpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/darkcrystalpodcast. We're on Twitter at darkcrystalpod. You can follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/darkcrystalpodcast. We also have an official website for Trial by Stone, which you can check it out at darkcrystalpodcast.com. If you like the show and you think that others would love it too, then please write a review for the show. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much, and stay tuned for the next episode of Trial by Stone.